Welcome back, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming back, as always. Thanks for the subscriptions. Got a lot of new subscriptions. And speaking of subscriptions, actually I have a few corrections to my roster. No, I didn't get the engines wrong that I have. Those were all my engines. However, I had some, I don't want to say misinformation, but I guess it was misinformation. And a commenter on the video actually corrected me, and I want to point that out and right the record, I guess, would be the correct term. So, user DDBlink02 on my last video on my roster commented two things, actually. The SD45s that Wisconsin Central had were not actually repowered with 16-cylinder diesels like I said they were. That was incorrect. They were actually just down-tuned 20 cylinders. So they retained their 20-cylinder engine, diesel engine, and per his comment, he said that they lowered it by lowering the RPM and installing smaller injectors. So just to set the record straight, that they retained their 20-cylinder diesels and they just tuned them down. And then the GP30 that I showed, while a group of Wisconsin Central GP30s came from Sioux Line, like I stated in the video, the particular model that I made, the 2252 I think it was, actually came from, actually they have a long history. The 2252 came through, was actually formerly Wisconsin Central 820, formerly FRV, which I would assume is Fox River Valley. But if that's wrong, well, then the correction will be incoming. It was Fox River Valley number 820, formerly Chicago Northwestern 820. So while some of the GP30s came from Sioux Line, that particular model came from Chicago Northwestern. So once again, Chicago Northwestern's making its way onto my layout. This one just happens to be repainted. So those are the corrections from last video. I don't want to say it's bad news, but the bummer of this week, my son and I last week Friday went down to Rochelle, Illinois, and we spent the day, a good half of the day, rail fanning down there. And those not familiar with it, I'll throw a link in the show notes. There's a railroad park there. It's actually the diamonds of the UP main line for the UP's Geneva sub, and Burlington Northern Santa Fe, BNSF's Aurora sub. And the double track main lines of both cross, and right in the crook of the crossing, the city of Rochelle put up a beautiful elevated pavilion. They've got it up on big, when you see the link, you'll have to go to the link. I can't do it justice by describing it, but let's just say it's a great place to rail fan. We were there for about 6 hours, saw at least 24 trains, I believe, and I had every intention of giving you a tour of it. I shot an intro. I had numerous trains. I had meets. I had light engine moves. I had intermodal, coal, you name it. There was everything there. And the hard drive that I store all of my video footage on while I'm editing it prior to sending it up to YouTube died on me Saturday morning. Took everything with it. So I lost about 2 hours worth of rail fanning footage. I also lost about an hour and a half worth of editing, and needless to say, it's lost to the ether. I tried everything under the sun to get that drive back, and she's dead. So unfortunately, that also sets off my recording schedule, because on there I also had a project that I started that I was going to use for this week. And I can kind of show you what I had started, but now I'm going to have to reshoot all that footage. So today's video I'm actually going to do, despite the fact that my computer hosed me over, I thought I would do just a I guess product reviews of sorts, and I don't want to make these sound like they're promotional videos. Several of the items I thought I'd review are Kalmbach related. One of them is their new MRVideo Plus website, And for those of you who haven't subscribed to it but want to know a little bit more about it, maybe before you jump in, see if it's worth jumping in, I thought I'd show you what it looks like. I'm a subscriber to Model Railroader, so it was $25 to join for a year. I thought, you know what, for a year, $25, you know, it's worth it just to see what it's like. So I've got, and again, these are my opinions. They're, you know, you'd have to subscribe yourself, but I'll just point out some of the things that I've noticed. And then the other two items, two Kalmbach items I thought I'd just talk about are the 75, the DVD collections of Model Railroader and trains. I think one's 75 years and then the other is 70. I get those two confused, but I thought I'd just review what they're like, you know, give you a rundown. I don't have the latest special edition that they put out recently, like right before Christmas, so I can't review that one, but I'm going to assume that it's pretty much the same as this one. So otherwise, for the moment, I got bit by the HO interchange group again. No surprise, but a gentleman was selling Walther's tank cars, so this was actually prior to their ready to run. So they need a little bit of loving care. I think in shipping he did his best, but unfortunately when I got the box, I'm pretty sure the postman kicked it from the street up to my doorstep because it had a huge dent in it. Subsequently, a lot of some of the handrails and stuff like that along the top side of the tank cars are broken. So I gotta sift through this box to find him. He did a nice job of putting. Well, here I'll show you if I can get this one open. Oh, I actually took all the paper out of this one. He put shredded paper in here, and so now the pieces are mixed in with the shredded paper. So I gotta find those. But yeah, another project, got him for a good deal, so I can't complain too much. So then the other thing I'm working on at the moment is I figured I neglected this when I started it, got all gung-ho about it, and then kind of faded a little bit. So I'm going to try and get back into, this is going to be the, I'll say it's an homage to Quad Graphics here in Wisconsin. If you remember from my initial tour of the layout, Quad Graphics was a huge customer of Wisconsin Central. They're a printing company here in Wisconsin. They print magazines, you know, mostly, I don't want to say higher end stuff, but more of your high-end catalogs and things like that, like just higher quality. And in fact, they print Model Railroader for Kalmbach. So they receive paper, of course, and then I think a lot of their magazines go out via truck, but they do receive a lot of paper, and I believe their plant up in Lemire might receive tank cars for maybe finishing, you know, for coatings and stuff like that. So this is going to become that eventually. So finishing up some wall pieces and things like that. So this will probably be a future video as well if my computer doesn't delete it. So let's go over to the computer and we'll take a look at some of the Kalmbach products that I thought I'd review for this week. So here is the Model Railroader Video Plus website, and you can get to it by going to mrv.trains.com, or there's a link if you just go to trains.com, and then they have a link on their main page. If we go back here, you can see they've got a Model Railroader Video Plus here. I'm a subscriber, so I already have a subscription, don't need to subscribe, so just go to the site, and you've got, so this is their first video here. They've got quite a few videos, and they've got the different menus up at the top here for their different series. These seem to be very geared towards a beginner, obviously basics. And then their how-to series, product reviews, layouts. Their layout tour is actually very good. They have a view of their layout, the Milwaukee, Racine, and Troy layout, which is quite a nice look at their layout. It's a really nice layout. And if you subscribe to Model Railroader, you've probably seen it quite a few times in their magazine. but so it's kind of neat to see all of the scenes set together and in one place. And then there's also other layout tours and series, and then they have Cody's Office Workshop, Drew's Trackside Adventures. This is one of my favorites, History According to Heidegger. Jim Heidegger is one of the old hands, I guess you would call him, a railroad term, and he just goes through and tells either history of model railroader, or he worked for the Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton, and you can see that one here. So he has some experience with that, experience with early model railroading. He's been in since pretty much the ground floor practically. So these are real neat to listen to. They've got quite a bit of content actually for just starting. I was surprised by how much they had for being their first month. It just went live on I believe April 1st or the week before April 1st. I got an email saying that it was live. I didn't really expect to see as many videos. Obviously not nearly as much as you can get from YouTube. However, there has to be at least 3 or 4 dozen videos between all the reviews, layout tours, how-tos, and I bet you there's probably even more than that. So that's maybe not even a fair number of how many they have. So, in terms of my personal review, and these are all just my personal reviews of the website, it's a good site. However, I think as subscribers of YouTube, you'll find that a lot of this stuff has been done by people. Maybe not the product reviews, but there's definitely layout tours that you can find on YouTube. I mean, mine, for example, and there's plenty of other people who do tours of their layouts. The history according to Heidegger, I really like. I don't think that's something you can really repeat. Drew's Trackside Adventures, that's really just a rail fanning video, and he talks about places to shoot from, and it's interesting. I don't know. So far, it hasn't been anything earth-shattering or groundbreaking, in my opinion. The other downside that I don't like is they don't have a playlist feature. And as I've mentioned in the past, I love to just fire up some video and have them playing in the background while I'm working at the layout. And there is no playlist ability. YouTube has it, which makes it ideal to just select a whole bunch of videos, playlist them, and away you go. You don't get that with this, at least not that I've found. The other problem that I have is every time you start a video, the audio is cranked to 100%. And I could adjust my speakers and everything, but on YouTube you adjust the volume on one video and it's set across the board. It would be nice if their site did the same thing. So overall, it's a good site. I'd say that a little bit much like Model Railroader, it may be more for the beginner than it is for guys or girls who've been in model railroading for a long time. Their product reviews are good. However, again, if you search YouTube, you pretty much are going to find somebody doing the same thing and for free. It was only $25. You could spend that much on a car, a freight car. So I figured it was worth it. However, I don't know if it's worth it for everyone. So, but that's their basic site. Overall, it's not bad. It's laid out really nice, easy to navigate. They've got a lot of neat stuff in here. So, but that's I'll just say that that's my review of MRVideo Plus. Okay, so the next review is the Model Railroader 75-year collection on DVD. And so to start with, when you first get the DVDs, it comes as a 3 DVD set. And you have the option to install the entire collection as throw it all on your hard drive in one big lump sum, and I think that comes out to roughly 23 gig worth of hard drive space. And
the advantage to doing that is that you don't have to have the DVDs in your DVD drive when you go to access one of the magazines. The disadvantage, of course, is that it takes up 23 gigabytes worth of storage space. However, with today's terabyte hard drives and larger, what's 23 gigabytes, right? So the other advantage of doing the full install is that things are much quicker when you pull up a magazine or you pull up a search. The other advantage is that if it happens you have disk 1 in, but the model railroader that you're looking for happens to be on disk 3, well then you got to swap the disks out. That's not the case with it installed fully on the hard drive. It just pulls it up. So that might be obvious, but that's how it works. So you can see there's 912 issues up here on the top, and it's all by year. So it starts January of 1934, and if we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, it takes a little bit. Ends with December of 2009. Now, the only disadvantage here, though, is they didn't start offering their digital subscription until 2011. So there's actually a gap here that you can't have. Okay, phone was ringing. Now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, there's a gap in there where you won't be able to have digital magazines. If you're a subscriber to MR and you subscribe to the magazines digitally, it picks up. I believe they started offering that in early 2012, maybe late 2011. Not positive on that, however. So overall, it's easy to navigate. Keep it within the window here, and so you have the ability to search. Now, the downside to the search, when the older issues were converted, they probably ran them through a text recognition software. I believe it's called OCR, and I think they're relying on that for the search to work. Unfortunately, I find the search to be very hit or miss. I know, for instance, that there are specific issues that have an article in them, and I've searched on that term, and it doesn't come up. So, it works, but they used to have an index online that worked much better. Unfortunately, that index is gone. It's very hit or miss. You can do a search on stuff, and you may only get 2 magazines in the search, and it's like I know that there's more in there. So, for instance, if we do John Allen, so here we've got 42 matches on 42 pages. So you can see that it found quite a few, and it did a pretty good job of coming up with them. So once you do a search on it, you can just double click on the page, and you'll see where it's referenced. His name must be on this page somewhere. And actually, once you double click on it, you can easily go into, now I'm actually within the February of 1990, and then you can see I can just scroll up and down, and it flips pages. So, and you can see it's installed on my hard drive, so that's how quickly it came up. If we go back to the search and I go to the next one, it comes up really quickly, actually. And if you look at these files, each magazine is roughly 40 to 60 meg in size. So for being rather large files, it opens them up rather quickly. And I don't have, this machine's pretty quick. It's got 8 gig of RAM, and it's a AMD 6-core CPU. But I've run this software on my Workbench computer, on my home theater computer, and neither of those are powerhouses by any means, and it's still very quick even on those. So the other thing you can do is you can favorite magazines, and I really haven't favorited any of them. But however, if you do favorite a magazine, they'll appear here and you can ready access to them. So go back to the home page, close or open the search. And you can also list them just by month and year and things like that. So now, overall, it's a great reference guide. A lot of people said that they would throw away their paper copies, and I've been subscribing to Model Railroader since 1989, and I still can't bring myself to throw away my paper copies. I still have them in Rubbermaids here in the basement, and I just can't bring myself to do it. But it's a great reference. Like I said, I have it. The beauty is now I don't know. Maybe Kalmbach wouldn't want me telling you this. However, you can install this on multiple computers, and if you do the full install, you don't need the disks for it, and it doesn't do a check of any kind to make sure that you've only got it installed on one computer. So, like I said, I installed it on my workbench and on my home theater and on this computer. So wherever I am, I can quickly reference my model railroaders. I figure I own it. I'm not stealing it. It's just installed in multiple places. The downside to this collection, in my opinion, is the lack of tablet support. You cannot put these magazines individually or as a group onto a tablet of any kind. They are encrypted PDF files, and while they are installed on your computer as a PDF file, if you try to open them straight as in Acrobat or Foxit or any other PDF reader, it asks for a password, which you don't get. It's encrypted within this application. So that's the only downside to that. Overall, though, it's a great collection. If you haven't been a subscriber to Model Railroader, but you want a lot of reading material, I think it's well worth it. It is expensive. It was $200, but it's, 75 years of Model Railroader and 912 issues. Some of the information isn't really relevant anymore, but overall the modeling techniques are still relevant for the most part. So that's the Model Railroader 75-year DVD collection. Okay, so in going through the Model Railroader 75-year anniversary, or 75-year collection rather, I decided the trains collection is pretty much identical. It has the same pluses, same minuses, same ability to search, and again, some of the search is a little limited. So I thought instead of doing another version of that, it would be very much just a repeat. I would talk about a reference site that I find very useful. I don't know if everyone's familiar with it, but bring it to light for those who aren't, is railroadpicturearchives.net, or rrpicturearchives.net. This site to me is really, when you're doing any kind of custom, you want to throw some super details on an engine, or you want to see weathering. And I talked about this briefly in my weathering video a while back. Just a great place to go and try and find pictures of a lot of things railroad related, and fallen flags to current models to even foreign railroads are on here, if that's your thing. Of course, it's dominated by U.S. and North American railroads, of course, but there are definitely some foreign railroads as well. And as you can see here, you've got different ways to navigate the site. One of my favorite things to do, this is more of just not a reference, but just something I do, is newest photos, and that'll just summarize everything that was added to the site. And you can select over here how many in the last day. And I just, sometimes when you can't get out and railfan, sometimes this is the next closest thing. And to be honest, a lot of these pictures become my backgrounds for my desktops. And like I said, I can't always get out and railfan, so if others are doing it, I'll take advantage of their hard work and enjoy their pictures and their creative eye. So then the other thing that I like to do, especially just go by railroad, and for instance, I'll go to Wisconsin Central because I know that's what it is. I'm familiar with it. It was a regional railroad, and despite it being a fallen flag and no longer around, they still happen to have it under regional. And so here you can see Wisconsin Central. And now under Wisconsin Central, you can see that they have locomotive roster photographed. So you can view that by the locomotive roster or under the model list. And depending on what you're looking to do, so for instance, if I was looking to make that SDL 39 like I talked about in last week's video, you could click View, and then here's a picture of the units that they have. Over on the right here is the number of pictures, so this would be a good one for reference, possibly. And you can see all the different angles and shots that people have uploaded of it. Well, here's a great one for modeling purposes. So you can pull it up, and just a great reference just to see where ditch lights were mounted, where the MU sockets were mounted. Things like if it had a winterization hatch on it, you can see it had the 2-window all-weather window. Just different apparatus. So it's a great reference there. These are always disappointing shots because I think this is a shot of a deadline 2002. Yeah, this is probably when these engines were being scrapped more than likely, but I could be wrong on that. But usually when you see a string of them like this, that means they were dead or being ripped apart. So that's that site, but you can see in this case, so you can see that there was a parent to Wisconsin Central. They were purchased by Canadian National, so you can go right to Canadian National, see all of their related railroads, see their roster model list. And you can also go by location, and then you can become a subscriber or a user on their site, and then you can contribute. Now, one thing with the site though is they don't. It's not just a dumping ground. It isn't like a Flickr or a site like that. They do kind of want your pictures to have some relevance, so you do have to submit a few pictures to them and say, hey, this is the type of picture that I'd like to post, and then they'll approve your ability to upload the pictures. And it helps to make the pictures more relevant, so you don't have a lot of abstract stuff in there. There's a time and a place for that, but they're looking more for a reference than they are just overall just train pictures. So I do follow some users on here. Let's see here. There we go. This is a local gentleman, lives in La Crosse. And I love his pictures because one, they're of Wisconsin, but also because he's a big EMD fan, and he happens to see a lot of EMDs coming through the area. So he updates his shots usually once or twice a week. Just some great pictures. He's got a great eye for it too. So, but you can see here's his personal site, Railroad Artist, and you can link directly to him. So that's one of the reference sites that I use while I'm working on a rolling stock or locomotive projects. So I thought I'd share that instead of doing another review of the train's DVD collection.
Well, a little bit of a different video this week. It was train related, but not necessarily models or kits or scenery or anything like that. But I thought I'd give you guys a rundown. Unfortunately, I think I'm just a little bit disappointed that I lost the footage that I had, and I haven't haven't had a chance to do any projects to have some good footage. I had footage going and ready, and then I lost it all, so I haven't had an opportunity to start any new projects in the meantime. So I thought this would be a quick and easy video to throw together for you. So as I said in my last video, racing season is upon me, despite the fact that any of you Wisconsinites can attest it's been cold and raining and dreary, and spring is here supposedly. However, it hasn't really been cooperating thus far. So the good news is that I do have some time, because I'm not out riding yet and haven't been able to really put in the miles outside. The offside is that I get to work on trains a little bit more. It's not a bad thing. So I'll keep the videos coming as often as I can. Once it does get nice out, like I said, they may diminish a little bit, but we'll see what we can do. So thanks a lot for coming back. Thanks a lot for subscribing. Please leave comments. Again, I truly appreciate the comments from the previous video correcting me where I made mistakes. If you guys have any questions regarding the DVDs, the Kalmbach website with the MRVideo Plus, if there's any questions about the capture software that I use to capture my desktop, I'll put a link in the show notes to the program that I used. It was freeware. I thought it worked really well. And yeah, but if you have any questions about any of that, feel free to throw them in there, and I'll try and respond as I can. So thanks a lot. We'll see you next video.